We are live. Hey, how's it going? Lee Hayward here with another episode of the Ask Lee video Q&A, going live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. So welcome to our video chat today. And for my American friends who are joining in, happy July 4th. And because it is July 4th, I'm kind of anticipating there may be a smaller than normal turnout, especially if people are going to be celebrating and having whatever, whatever celebration that is, food, drink, and fireworks and family get-togethers. But we have an international audience here, so I know many people who tune into our live Q&A every week. The July 4th holiday doesn't apply. So if you're tuning in, regardless of where you are in the world, welcome to our video chat. And I'm going to be hanging out here now for the next hour, answering questions and topics of discussion related to fitness and nutrition, building muscle, losing fat, optimizing your athletic performance, whatever it is that you would like to discuss related to health, fitness, and wellness. You can type those questions and topics of discussion into our video chat window, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our chat today. So I see we have some people popping onto the live stream here now. Welcome to the chat as you're popping on. And for those of you who are tuning in, just give me a little note there in the comment section or in the video chat window just to make sure that this is actually coming through loud and clear and that you can hear me and see me and all that stuff. I always like to double check because we have had it in the past where I started into answering questions and maybe something was wrong. Maybe the audio wasn't coming through clear, or who knows. But if you can just give me a little note there to let me know if this is coming through loud and clear, I would greatly appreciate it. Who we got joining in? We got Robert joining in. Good afternoon and happy 4th. Happy 4th to you. And of course, me being a Canadian, we had our Canada Day celebrations on July 1st. Same type of holiday, celebrating some, being proud of the country, right? So we celebrated that on July 1st, but I know for my American friends, you're celebrating that today. Who else we got joining in there? We got Maddie joining in. Says, hello, Lee. Warm hugs from the Caribbean. That sounds nice. It's kind of warm and muggy here today, but I'm not saying it's Caribbean warm. But nice to have you joining in. And it says it is coming through loud and clear. I appreciate that as well. All right. I just always want to double check. Thank you for doing that, Maddie. Much appreciated. All right. A couple little things that I want to discuss now while you guys are popping onto the live stream. And again, for those of you who are just joining us right now, this is the live at 5 Q&A that I do every Friday. So I'm going to be hanging out here answering questions and topics of discussion related to fitness and nutrition, health and wellness, any specific challenges or topics of discussion that you would like to cover. Post those into the chat window, or you can email, or not email, you can post them into the chat window, or if you're on Facebook, you can post it into the comment section below. All right. One thing that I want to discuss now before we get into answering your questions is this weekend, i.e. tomorrow, we're kicking off the Lose Your Gut Challenge Summer Shred. And this is a virtual coaching program that I'm going to be hosting over the next week. And again, we're kicking it off, launching it through the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. And I've done several of these challenges. And what it basically is laying the foundation. It's going to help you to achieve a metabolic reboot, which is actually the first phase of the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program, where we're going to really lay out a solid action plan to get you on the right track with your fitness, your nutrition, your lifestyle choices, to help to fuel and nourish your body on the cellular level, and to build the metabolism so that you can build lean muscle and burn body fat and enjoy the process. Right. So we're going to be going into great detail over the next week, diving into that within the Lose Your Gut Challenge group. And if you would like to join us, there's still a couple of opportunities to hop on board. And all you have to do is open up the description below this video, and there's a link there where you can head on over to my website at leehayward.com and get all the details for the Lose Your Gut Challenge. So it hasn't officially started yet, right? I know I had some people reaching out to me saying, hey, I'm still waiting for that Lose Your Gut Challenge. It doesn't start until, well, tomorrow we're kicking it off. We're opening the group up. but it doesn't officially start until Sunday is when it's going to be officially day one of the Lose Your Gut Challenge. So I just wanted to give you that heads up, but there's still opportunities there if you want to come on board and join us as a last minute entry into the challenge. And this is where we're going to really lay out a solid action plan to help you lose the gut, keep it off, and enjoy the process. So if that's something you're interested in, you want to get in shape this summer, then by all means, join us over there. And it is a free 5-day intensive coaching program where we're going to be laying out a solid action plan, plus giving you daily accountability tasks and daily coaching lessons to help you stay on track, keep you motivated and inspired, and accountability to keep you on track towards making those goals a reality. All right. So again, head on over to leehayward.com. It's one of the top posts there on my page, all the details for the Lose Your Gut Challenge Summer Shred, which we're kicking off tomorrow morning. All right, who else we got there? Let's see. Let's see. We have Lee Dunnigan joining in. Come through loud and clear. Much appreciated, my friend. Thanks. Lee's a regular to our video chats. What else we got there? We have the Truth Commissioner. Is the Arnold Press actually a superior shoulder exercise, or is it just popular because Arnold did it? Does the rotation really add value, or is it just flair? You can try and see how you find it. If you enjoy that rotation, and for those of you who are wondering what the Arnold Press is, I mean, obviously you can Google search it, but it's just a shoulder press where you start with your hands facing you in the bottom, and then as you press up, you literally rotate your arms out versus just keeping your arms straight forward. You know, you can try it. I got to be honest, I've never really done much with the Arnold Press. I mean, occasionally I would toss it into my workouts for variety or for novelty, but I didn't really get anything special from that movement. I prefer to do just regular shoulder presses, just regular palms facing forward, whether that's using a machine or using dumbbells or a barbell. That's usually what I would do. Sometimes I would do the parallel grip, especially with a shoulder press machine at the gym. Most shoulder press machines have the option where you can have your hands facing forward or you can have a parallel grip. I would probably do one or the other, but I never really got much value personally from that rotational movement of the Arnold Press. Now, that's just my experience with it. I'm not saying that it's a garbage exercise or it has no value. If you like it, you find that it gives you a good pump, or you find that it's comfortable, hey, by all means, go for it. But honestly, I don't think there's anything superior to that over a regular shoulder press variation. It's basically one of those personal preference things. So if you enjoy it, by all means, do it. But if you don't, or you just prefer regular shoulder presses, I don't really think you're at a disadvantage. Right? I know the name sounds cool because I don't know the full backstory behind it, but I'm assuming Arnold must have did it or invented it, or at least made it popular. Hence, it's called the Arnold Press, and that gives it a bit more, sizzle, if you will, makes it sound more exciting. But does it actually make any big difference? I really don't know, right? All right, let's see what else we got there. We have Charles joining in from Las Vegas. Welcome, Charles. Glad to have you joining into our chat today. And again, Charles is joining in through Facebook. And most of the people who tune into our streams are watching through YouTube, right? Like I'm streaming simultaneously through YouTube as well as Facebook. Most people do join through YouTube, but we do have some people coming in from the Facebook group as well, or the Facebook page, I should say. So welcome, Charles. Glad to have you joining in there. And we have Sam joining in over on Facebook as well. Welcome, Sam. Glad to have you joining in. Good stuff. All right. Any particular questions? I'm just waiting for people to type them in there. Okay. Here we go. We have Les joining in. Says, hello, Lee, longtime subscriber. How can I measure progressive overload if my strength fluctuates all the time? Any tips? You know what? That's a great question. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a good topic of discussion. Anybody who's been working out for any length of time, you're going to notice your strength and energy fluctuates. And it's not necessarily that you're doing anything wrong or that your program needs to change or whatever. It's just natural. And I'm going to give you an example. Like, even outside the gym in general, like when you wake up in the morning, some mornings you probably wake up, you feel well rested, you got energy, you just jump out of bed and you say, man, I feel really good. I had a great night's sleep. I can't wait to tackle the day. Other mornings, you're lying in bed and you're like, oh man, the alarm clock rings and I don't want to get up. I'm just so tired. I didn't sleep that well. I'm exhausted. And you're just dragging your heels the whole day. So just like your normal energy, not like totally outside the gym, just day-to-day energy for just doing your job, doing your work, going to school, whatever the heck you're doing, just your day-to-day stuff, your energy and your motivation and everything else fluctuates. Some days you got energy to burn and you're ready to go crush it. Other days you're dragging your heels and you're like, I can't wait for the day to be over. That applies with your workouts in the gym as well. Some days you're going to go in there and you're like, man, I got energy to burn. I can crush it today. Other days, those weights are going to feel like exceptionally heavy and you're not going to be as strong. And you have to just kind of be in the moment and lift based on your current situation, your current energy levels, and be flexible enough to adjust it accordingly. In fact, I was just having a coaching call earlier this afternoon with one of my students who's going through the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. And this was exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about his workout program and how he can modify it based on his energy fluctuations. And this is how I do it with myself and with a lot of my personal coaching students is I always ask, like when we're in the gym training, I always say, okay, like what was your day like? How do you feel? How was your sleep last night? And if they're feeling good, well rested, feeling strong, okay, we're going to push it. We're going to do the harder exercise variations. We'll probably do more free weight exercises or more challenging body weight movements or exercises that are more physically demanding. On the days that they're like, oh, I didn't sleep that well last night, or I was working overtime, really tired. Okay, doesn't mean we're not going to train, but we're going to adjust the workouts accordingly. So we'll probably use more machine variations, probably do a bit more isolation work, choose easier exercises to still work the muscle, but not draining your body or trying to expect maximum effort from submaximal energy reserves. So you have to adjust it accordingly. And how you would measure your progressive overload is you would look for the new highs. So obviously, if you're feeling tired, you didn't sleep well, don't go in there and expect to hit a new PR in an exercise. Like you're not going to hit a new 1 rep max bench press if you slept like crap the night before and you're physically exhausted. It ain't going to happen. But on those days when you are feeling strong and you are ready to push it and try and, set a new personal record or whatever, that's how you would measure it. So you'd measure the highs. Like you want to see those highs getting higher. And on the days when you're not feeling it and the days are low, just ride it out. Realize that, hey, this is just a go through the motions workout day. This isn't a workout where I'm going to be pushing the limits, but I'm just going to show up, go through the motions. Maybe that'd be a good opportunity to train things that you normally don't work, like certain exercises or movement patterns that you're not doing on a regular basis. I'll give you an example of that. Like maybe on those days when you're feeling low energy, you could do some extra calf and forearm and ab work and different isolation exercises that you probably normally wouldn't do if you were in there doing your big, heavy compound lifts, right? So you can use these opportunities to focus on different aspects of your training, even focus more on stretching or mobility work. Like there's always ways to work around it. But again, as far as measuring the progressive overload, don't get discouraged by the highs and lows because every single one of us go through that, right? Nobody's, on full bust energy every single day, right? Some days you're feeling great, some days you're not. And you just have to go with it and judge the new personal bests based on your high energy days. And just realize that those low energy days, when they do come up, take them in stride. Don't get discouraged by it. I mean, it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just for whatever reason. I mean, it could be work, life, sleep, stress, family issues. Who knows what could be causing you to be under undue stress or anxiety or just not recovering properly. I mean, there could be a whole slew of reasons and not necessarily related to training and nutrition. So you have to just realize that is going to play a role and it's going to happen to everybody. But yeah, that's a great question. right? I'm glad you brought that up because it's a big one. Everybody's going to go through it from time to time, right? I go through it, and I've learned to adapt to it now. I don't take it personally or get emotionally attached to the numbers. Like if I feel low energy in the gym, I don't, oh my God, my workout sucks or I suck, or no, I'm just having a low energy day. Maybe in a few days time, I'll have a high energy day. Right? Just take it in stride and move on. We'll focus on the big picture, the long term being good enough consistently, not the short term being occasionally great. All right, who else we got through? We have AJ joining us. Says, Lee, I've been lifting for 12 plus years. I have good size, but I don't have visible abs. In your professional opinion, do you think I'd have to be on a crazy diet in order to see them? Chances are, I mean, the diet would have to improve. And again, I don't know what your current diet and training and everything else is, but I do know one thing. Regardless of your situation, improvement is always possible. Like if we look under the hood and we start dissecting everything that you eat, everything that you drink, and your exercise and everything else, I'm sure we could find a few things that could be improved, right? I could improve, right? I've been doing this for over 30 years, and there's still a lot of stuff that I could improve on. I full on admit that. But I'm good enough and good enough consistently most of the time, right? That's what I focus on. But if I wanted to like dial it up for like photo shoot shape or get ready for another bodybuilding show or whatever, I'd have to dial it up my diet as well. Doesn't mean it had to be a crazy diet or extreme. I guess that depends on what your definition of crazy or extreme is. For like prime example, the last time I competed in bodybuilding was I made the comeback in the masters category in 2021. And I certainly dieted strict, and by most people's standards, it would probably be more crazy extreme or whatever. But by my standards, it wasn't, because I dieted in a very slow process. So it was a very slight calorie deficit. It wasn't some crazy weight loss. I mean, I was losing on average less than a pound a week during my contest cutting diet. So it was a very slow, gradual process. It wasn't extreme. I didn't really go through a lot of ups and downs and mood swings until the last final weeks before the show, when I was getting really depleted, well into the single digit body fat. Then it started to drain on me. But before that, like when I was, say, like in the low double digits, around 10% body fat, somewhere around there, still visible abdominal definition, still, looking quite lean, certainly by most people's standards, I felt great. Like I had energy. I didn't feel like I was on a diet. I mean, I was certainly eating clean and making good choices and avoiding, the things that are obviously going to set you back. Like there was no alcohol consumption. There was no processed garbage and junk food and stuff like that. And there was regular, consistent exercise. But it wasn't extreme. It wasn't starvation, right? It wasn't depriving myself. It was actually nourishing the body on the cellular level, which is all the stuff that we're going to be covering within the Lose Your Gut Challenge that's going to be happening now starting this weekend, right? So if you want, I mean, hey, pop on board for the Lose Your Gut Challenge. You can still register. Head on over to leehayward.com and register for that challenge. And we'll break down, the fundamentals of optimizing fat loss nutrition. And I'm willing to bet that you'll pick up a few tips and strategies there that you can implement starting now to help dial in that fat loss without going to the extremes. And this is something we're going to do a lot of detail with, because the problem with extreme dieting, while it can work, like if you go on anything, like let's just say you go keto, carnivore, fasting, Ozempic, whatever, like you go on some extreme, crazy cutting diet, you will lose weight. Like if you create a massive calorie deficit, it's inevitable you're going to lose weight, and you're going to lose a good chunk of body fat. Now, the problem with extreme dieting is if you go too low with the calories and you're not nourishing the body on the cellular level, you're going to lose a lot of lean muscle tissue along with that. And then the other problem is it's not sustainable, because if you are feeling depleted, deprived, or hungry, how long can you suffer that out for before you finally say, you know what, it's not worth it anymore, I can't do this, and you throw in the towel and you go back to your old eating habits? Like most people have done that to some degree or another. I'm willing to bet probably everybody watching this right now, or most everybody, has done it, or you at least know somebody who has, who's went on some crazy diet. Like let's just say that I'm going to eliminate all carbohydrates and I'm only going to eat one meal a day, or, you know, some crazy diet. Sure, if you will lose weight, guaranteed. I mean, if the calories in versus calories out put you in a deficit, you're going to lose weight. That's inevitable. But how long can you stick that out for before the effects start to drain on you? I mean, you might go a few weeks and not have any big drawbacks, but eventually it's going to start to drain your reserves, if you will, and you're going to feel the deprivation, the cravings, the hunger, the irritability, and then eventually you're going to cave and give in, and then go back to your old eating habits, and just starts that whole vicious yo-yo diet cycle all over again, right? So again, I'm not a fan of extreme cutting diets for long-term results, right? For most people, unless you're doing something short-term, we only need to lose weight for the short term. But if you're looking to lose weight and get lean and stay lean, we need to have something that you can do as a lifestyle and not just a short-term thing. Right now, again, I'm not anti extreme approaches because there's a time and a place for them. Prime example, like if you're looking at someone who has to make weight for a weight class, like a competitive athlete, a boxer or MMA fighter, or any weight class athlete who says, hey, I got to drop 10 pounds or whatever as fast as possible to make this weight class. Sure, you can probably go to some extreme measures to quickly drop that weight, but you know full on that as soon as you weigh in, you're going to regain that weight back. And you're totally fine with that. Like it's just, I just need to make a weight class and then I don't care. Yeah, okay, you can kind of go to some extreme measures. Or if someone's doing a bodybuilding show and they say, I just want to get shredded for the show, place well, and then I don't care if I get fat afterwards, right? Fine. Or a photo shoot or whatever. But if you're looking to sustain a lean, healthy physique for a long term, these short-term extreme approaches, they can't last. Like any approach that you follow, it has to be something that you can enjoy and sustain. You can't feel like you're suffering it out forever. Like nobody wants to do that. And again, that's what we're going to really cover within the Lose Your Gut Challenge, is how to create that sustainable approach so you can get lean without feeling like you're on that extreme cutting diet and still get the results you want. Right? But again, to get to your, do I think you'll be able to get visible abs? I'm quite sure it's possible. I mean, I've helped a lot of guys go from fat to lean and visible abs over the years. And some people who thought that they would never see their abs, managed to achieve it. I mean, several guys. Like, I just want to share some pictures with you. I'm just going to share my screen. This is one guy in particular. Let's see this. Now I want to just give me a second, guys. It takes a moment to find. I'm going to be totally transparent here. Here we go. This right here, hopefully that's coming through. I want to share this. This is Steve Patterson. He lost 100 pounds in these pictures. So in the before picture, he was 260. And in the after picture, he was 159 and change. So it was just over 100 pounds weight loss. And he was one of the original guys to go through the Lose Your Gut Challenge, one of the first Lose Your Gut Challenge groups that I ever ran. And he implemented, those strategies. And I have to be totally honest, when Steve first came on board and I was chatting with him and talking with him and stuff, and of course, looking at his physique and that, I didn't have very high hopes because, here he was, not exercising, eating whatever the hell he wanted. He full on admits, he was having a few too many drinks. He dealt with his social issues, or his, not social, his stress issues is what I should say. He was dealing with his stress through food and drink. And of course, his physique showed it, right? I mean, you can tell, like he had a lot of extra weight on. And I got to be totally honest, when he first came on board with the whole Lose Your Gut Challenge and came on board with the coaching program afterwards, I did not have high hopes. I said, I'll do my best to help you out. But man, like in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't think this guy's going to do jack shit, right? I'm just being honest. And he totally blew me away because he got on the program, he committed to it, and he just took it serious. And the next thing you know, like here he was a year later. This is a 1-year transformation right here. Totally turned things around and gotten the best shape of his life. I mean, leaner than he's ever been before. And of course, you can see the visible abdominal definition, right? So it's possible. And, if you follow a proven system, it absolutely is possible. So that's why I just wanted to share that. I mean, that's what we're going to be covering within the whole Lose Your Gut Challenge. All right, who else we got there? Sam's got a question. He says, do you find a difference in carbs, Lee, on your weight? I seem to do well on sweet potato and wraps, but find pasta, I crave more pasta. Great question. And you're absolutely right. Some foods are more filling and satiating than others. Pasta, rice, bread, any type of sweets or desserts goes without saying that too. But those type of foods I find are for the amount of carbohydrates you consume, they're not as filling. Like if you had 50 grams of carbohydrates from pasta or 50 grams of carbohydrates from sweet potato, you would feel way more full and satiated from the sweet potato than the pasta, even if it's the same calories and carbs ratios. So this is another strategy that we're going to really be diving into within the Lose Your Gut Challenge, is how to choose foods that are more filling so that it doesn't feel like you're on a diet. You eat in a calorie deficit, but you don't feel like you're in a calorie deficit. And that's one of the things. And generally speaking, those foods are the natural unprocessed foods. Now, not always, right? There are some exceptions, like rice, for example. I mean, rice is a natural single ingredient unprocessed food, but rice doesn't give you the same eating satiation as potato or sweet potato does, or oatmeal. Like oatmeal and potato and sweet potato, very filling. Like if you ate 50 grams of carbohydrates from oats or 50 grams of carbohydrates from potatoes or sweet potatoes, or you feel full. 50 grams of carbohydrates from rice, it's not much. It doesn't feel like a lot of volume. It's very calorie dense. It's very, and it's not a lot of, it doesn't fill your belly up, right? And the same with pasta. So yeah, there is a huge difference. Now, it doesn't mean that you can never eat pasta or never eat rice or, other foods, but it just means that you have to be aware of this and try and choose foods that are more filling most of the time so that you make it easier, right? And you can actually use this to your advantage in both ways, because maybe you're, in the case of athletic performance, if an athlete is trying to carb up and get more food in their system and fill out their glycogen stores, you probably want to have those easier to digest foods that cause you to want to eat more in order to get those carbohydrates in. So prime example, like I do a lot of cycling races now. And on the days that I do cycling races and I want to have carb up and have lots of glycogen in my system, I'm not going to eat vegetables and high fiber foods and foods that are filling and slow digesting. I'm going to opt for the pasta and the rice and the faster absorbing carbohydrates so that I can get my glycogen levels topped up, get enough food in without feeling heavy or bloated or gassy. I want to get that fast absorbing foods into my system so that I can then utilize that for energy to perform on. But from a weight loss, fat loss point of view, you want to do the opposite, right? You want to have the slower absorbing, more filling foods so that you keep the calories lower. And we can manipulate that based on your goals and situations. So prime example, if someone was trying to make lean gains and consume a calorie surplus, you would actually do the complete opposite. You would want the foods that are easier to eat more of to put you in that surplus. And then if you're trying to achieve a calorie deficit, you want to have the foods that are more filling and satiating to achieve that calorie deficit. So it's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's where are you at in your journey? Where are you at in your situation? And we can manipulate these variables depending on the circumstances. But yeah, it's a great awareness on your part that you can tell that, right? And your body. That's the thing. Like as we go through this, you'll know your body. You know what foods work well for you, what foods don't work well for you. And if you don't, you're going to quickly learn, right? And we're going to help you to decipher the ideal diet for you. And that's something that's a bit of a pet peeve of mine sometimes too, with some fitness coaches. They try and prescribe like the one size fits all diet. Like everybody's got to have like boiled chicken and broccoli and rice. That's the diet. Well, maybe that food doesn't sit with you, or you're just sick and tired of eating that and you want to have some other variety. or other foods feel better on your stomach, like we can adjust it accordingly. It doesn't always have to be this, cookie cutter inside a very narrow-minded point of view. You can have a lot of variety and flexibility built in there and still achieve your goals. Let's see what else we got there. We have Jesse joining in. It says, I've been hitting the treadmill for an hour a night and weights for an hour 7 nights a week, plus being on phentermine. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not familiar with that. I've never used it, or I'd have to look it up. Phentermine, I think, 37.5 milligrams, causes me not to eat, and my energy is through the roof. Lost 70 pounds down in 6 months. Way to go, man. I mean, obviously it's working for you, and kudos to you. But you're putting in the work, right? The treadmill, all right, and the weight training. The only thing I'm going to caution you on is, adjust the intensity and the frequency accordingly, because rest days have their time and place, right? I for the average person, the risk of overtraining is very slim, but once you get that momentum going and you start to see it snowball, the risk of overtraining becomes a real thing. Like if you're doing an hour of cardio a day plus an hour of weight training every day, it's going to start to burn the candle at both ends, and you may need to factor in some rest and recovery in there. And so, like, if you are in the gym or you just feel extra tired, exhausted, and you find your strength and energy is not there, don't be afraid to take an extra day off. But for now, like if your strength is up, your energy is up, like ride that wave of momentum for what it's worth, but realize like it's going to come a time and place where it's going to start to dwindle. And generally what I've always found when I would do like my cutting diets, especially for bodybuilding competitions, is in the early phases of a diet, when you still have fat to lose, your body is able to utilize that fat for energy to fuel your workouts and keep you going. But when you get down into the single digits and there's very little fat left on your body, and you're kind of going from lean to ripped and basically getting to the point where there's zero excess body fat, when you're well into the single digits, that's when you really feel the energy kind of like just dropping through the floor, and you got to run on willpower, right? And that's when being a bit more cautious of the recovery, pacing yourself becomes a lot more critical. But if you still got a few pounds of fat to lose and your energy is still high, like ride that wave of momentum, right? But just realize that as you get further into the diet, I mean, I know it sounds like 6 months sounds like a long time. And for the average person, 6 months is a long time. But for people who've been doing this for years or decades, like 6 months is not a long time, right? I know people who've literally prepare for bodybuilding competitions like sometimes a year in advance or more just for a single competition, right? I've done it myself, right? But I mean, so just realize the deeper you go and the leaner you get, that's when this is probably going to start to dwindle. So just have it in the back of your mind. And if it does happen, don't be afraid to scale back and take a few extra rest days instead of trying to get that daily exercise in there and wearing that as a badge of honor. Because I know some people I work out every day, right? I work out every day, and they think as if that's you're going to get brownie points for putting in more work. Like you only get credit for actual results, right? So sometimes training less can actually be more beneficial when your body needs it. And I made that mistake early on. It's something we actually discussed in the last episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast. Is I hit a plateau in my early bodybuilding days trying to work out every single day. And it was only when I scaled back the frequency and factored in more rest and recovery days in there that I actually made my best gains and best progress ever. So, just kind of giving you a heads up for the future with that one. But thanks for sharing. I mean, that's great progress. That's huge, right? That's literally more than 10 pounds a month, which is solid, respectable weight loss. We have Jose joining in. Welcome and happy 4th of July to you, my friend. Who else we have joining in? We have Les saying, thanks, Lee. I always gave myself a hard time if I didn't hit the numbers that I was putting pressure on myself to hit. Knowing that I don't have to go hard and heavy all the time is a game changer. Yeah, it absolutely is. I'm glad you found that helpful. And, over time, you are going to hit personal bests, but realize it's going to be up and down. It's going to be fluctuations. It's almost like watching the stock market. Like, I don't know if you're an investor or whatever, but if you watch the stock market, it's going to be ups and downs, ups and downs. Like, it's never just linear, up or linear down. There's always spikes and fluctuations along the time. But you can see the trend. Like, is the trend moving up over time, or is the trend moving down over time? And I mean, this applies with everything in our fitness and fat loss journey. I mean, when you look at your strength in the gym, it's going to fluctuate, but where is the trend heading? Is the general trend moving in the right direction? When it comes to fat loss, there will be highs and lows. Like, someday you might hit a new personal best low and you're like, woohoo, this is awesome. And then you jump on the scale the next day and it's like, what the heck? I just put on 2 pounds since my last weigh-in. Like, this sucks. And then you up and down, up and down, up and down. But what you'll notice is the lows will get lower and those rebound highs won't go quite as high. And the same when it comes to your strength. Like, sure, the highs will get higher, but there will be some lows and dips and fluctuations along the way. But you want to look at where's that general trend heading and not getting discouraged by those little short-term ups and downs. Right? And once you broaden your perspective on that, it is a game changer, and it takes a lot of stress off you for that. Who else we got there? Jeffrey's joining in. Happy 4th of July to all the Americans. Yeah, we have we're having a good turnout. I see a lot of a lot of Americans joining in. I figured that there wouldn't be many joining in today, but again, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the support. I'm glad to have you tuning in to our live Q&A here. Hi, Lee. Not a fitness question, but how is Canada at the moment thinking of moving from the UK as a nurse? Is it still affordable for the average Joe? Oh boy, that's a can of worms right there. I'm going to be short and to the point with this one. It's getting more expensive all the time everywhere. Housing prices are going up. Food prices are going up. Pretty much everything is going up. This is one of the things we sometimes chat about and make jokes about. Like, every time I go to the grocery store, for example, we kind of have our routine. We buy the same things week after week after week. So the cart doesn't change, but the grocery bill does. It's like it's getting higher and higher and higher and higher every freaking time I go to the grocery store. So is Canada still affordable? Well, not as affordable as it used to be. Let's just say that. Like, housing prices through the roof, food prices through the roof, right? I mean, I still love Canada, still live here and everything else. I'm not planning on moving anytime soon, but it's you have to stretch your dollars. Let's just say that much, right? Right. That's probably the same across the world, but I know we're certainly feeling it here. And when I'm chatting to some of my coaching students, I mean, that's kind of like the ongoing conversation, right? Especially when we're looking at grocery bills, for sure. That's one thing, right? Because food and fitness, right? Yeah, it's getting more pricey all the time. I'm just curious, for those of you watching this, if you're in Canada, or do you notice the same things? If so, feel free to share your comments down below. See what else we got there. Jay is joining in. Are ribs good to eat for protein? I went to gym earlier. There are protein in ribs, but is it a good source of protein? No. It's a tasty treat / cheat meal, something along those lines. I mean, you could have it as the occasional treat, but it's not a staple. And the reason for that is because there's more fat than protein. And when you're looking for good sources of protein, you want high protein and low fat. So ribs do not fit that bill. Like, if you look at the nutritional value of ribs, they're way more fat than there is protein. And then, of course, if you're smothering them in barbecue sauce, you're getting high fat and high sugar, right? Yes, you are getting protein. Don't get me wrong. There is protein in there, but there's a lot of other calories coming along with it. And this is why you'll see bodybuilders eating things like chicken breast as like a staple. And I know chicken breast can be boring and repetitive, but because it is boring, it's something that you can eat on a regular basis. It's very lean, right? Like a boneless, skinless chicken breast is primarily pure protein, very low in fat. But it's something that you can eat and tolerate on an ongoing basis. And the nice thing about chicken too is you can eat it cold, you can eat it warm, you can eat it left over. Like it's very versatile. I mean, prime example. I know when I was in my early bodybuilding days, even when I was going to college and stuff, I used to just Tupperware container chicken breasts and eat them while I was eat them in between classes when I was going to college. And I could do it because chicken can be eaten cold, even though it's not always the most pleasant food. It's palatable and tolerable. Whereas you're not going to eat a steak cold. Like eating a piece of steak cold is almost like chewing on a piece of rubber, right? It's just doesn't go well. Steak has to be fresh off the grill in order to be really enjoyable. Leftover steak or cold steak or whatever, it's really tough and chewy. It's not the same. But chicken breast, you can eat it fresh off the grill or fresh off the air fryer or however you cook it. And then you can also eat it left over the next day, and it's still palatable and enjoyable. And of course, it's high in protein, low in fat. So that's why you'll see a lot of bodybuilders and athletes having chicken as a staple protein source, right? That's what you want to look for. Again, high protein, low in fat, and something that is easy to eat. That makes good sources of protein. But do you have any tips for weight loss for hypoglycemic people? If you have issues like that, I mean, one, I would definitely recommend talking to your doctor, who probably would also recommend a nutritionist, to see what your individual situation. I would definitely recommend that. But for most people, the principles for weight loss are very similar across the board. It's the natural unprocessed food, filling up on the proteins and the veggies and foods that are not necessarily going to impact your glycemic index or your blood sugar to a great degree, and eating those slow absorbing complex carbohydrates, the vegetables, the foods that are higher in fiber to slow the release and the absorption. I mean, that would certainly help to stabilize and level things out. But what I would recommend for anybody who has any medical conditions, before you go Google searching or YouTube searching or whatever, talk to your doctor, right? And get some advice there from someone who knows your situation, knows your background, knows whatever medications you're on, everything else. Can get that solid advice first, and then go from there. But generally, the same principles would apply right across the board, right? It's not like here's the fat loss diet or weight loss diet for a normal person, and it's the principles are the same across the board. I mean, you still got to achieve a calorie deficit, you still got to burn off more than you consume, you still got to eat natural unprocessed food, you still got to make sure that you're hitting your macros in terms of the protein and the nourishment, the vitamins and the minerals and the enzymes and the essential fatty acids and all that stuff. You still got to cover all those principles regardless. But I would definitely recommend talking to your doctor or healthcare professional first before you make any dramatic changes. What else we got there? We have Charles joining in again, saying, I'm 5'7", 283, type 2 diabetic, as well as runaway cholesterol. I'm quite interested in your program. Well, I tell you what, Charles, you can certainly join in. All you have to do, if you haven't done so already, head on over to leehayward.com, and you can open up the link there for the Lose Your Gut Challenge. So I'm just going to pop it up on the screen there now, because I know there's probably a few people who are interested in coming on board here. So let me share my screen. Share screen. Give me a second there. Right here. Okay, that should be popping up. Make that a bit bigger, and I'm just going to hide your comment there. Okay, good. So head on over to right here, the free 5-day Lose Your Gut Challenge Summer Shred, right? Click on that link, and there's a full post there that explains what the challenge is, how it works, what's expected of you throughout the challenge. And it also shows some of the past challenge participants who've gotten some great results going through this, right? So you can certainly check that out. And you can also, if you're over on Facebook, which I know you are, you can go to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page and open up the reviews tab and read it. There's literally over 250 reviews from people who've gone through the Lose Your Gut Challenge. So that you can just see their comments and feedback of people who've gone through it already before you and get some insights that way. But just register, like literally go over there. There's a link there where you can enter in your name and your email, register for it. And we'll be kicking things off literally tomorrow morning is when the kickoff happens. And that's when I'll be providing you with the action plan, our Lose Your Gut Challenge cheat sheet, and all the bonus video coachings that we're going to be doing throughout the week as well. So you get access to that tomorrow morning. What else we got there? Sam saying, I'm 245 now. I was 320 on your Lose Your Gut Challenge. Thanks, Lee. Whoa! So there you go. So you see that, Charles? That's great progress right there. I mean, that's huge progress. I mean, that's something to be proud of, buddy. Thanks for sharing that. From 320 down to 245. Right. And I'm sure there's still progress, there's still room to improve, but that's worthy of a pat on the back right there. You should definitely be proud of yourself. I love eating. Don't we all? I mean, eating is one of the pleasures of life, right? We have to learn to eat and love eating. And I mean, I love eating too, right? I mean, but the thing is, you can change your palate. I just want to talk about that for a second. Like a lot of people think eating healthy has to be boring and bland and not pleasurable or whatever. It can be very pleasurable, very satisfying. And that's one of the things that you have to learn how to enjoy eating. And you can rewire this. I know it's going to take a bit of work initially, but like for me, the thought of like eating fast food or processed food or something like that, that actually turns my stomach because I know, okay, I'll eat it. Sure, I might get the short-term pleasure of the sweet or greasy or whatever taste you're eating at the time, but I know like that's going to just cause my stomach to feel like rotten afterwards. I'm probably going to be gassy and bloated and feeling sluggish the next day. Whereas if I eat healthy and clean, like natural unprocessed foods, like your lean protein, your good complex carbs, your fruits and veggies, your healthy fat, I know that's going to fuel me, nourish me, and give me energy. I mean, it's still tasty and delicious, right? There's ways to make healthy, non-processed food taste delicious, but you feel good. Like you have energy that's stable, and it's not the gas and bloat and distress and gut issues and all that kind of stuff that so many people complain about. Right. So, I mean, I love eating and I love feeling good while I'm eating and after I eat. So that's why I try to be very selective of the foods that I love eating. But yeah, I mean, you just have to, it doesn't mean you have to be in deprivation, right? You can still be very healthy and eat very well and be very satisfied, right? That's the key, is how do you find that happy medium? You're the man, Lee. YouTube OG. Appreciate it. Thanks much. Yeah, I've been doing this literally. I remember I launched my first YouTube video back in 2006 when YouTube was just getting started. I mean, at the time when I first started on YouTube, I didn't even it wasn't a platform like it is now. It was literally just a place to host videos. That's all it was. Like you just take just the same as now, you probably, if you took a video and you share it with a friend or whatever, it's just like, hey, okay, this is a place where I could take a video and host it. But the thing is like back in the day, we couldn't take videos with our phones or anything like that. I remember taking videos with my 8mm camcorder, and then I had a converter where I used to plug in the audio video cables, and it would convert that tape video into a digital format, and then I could upload the digital format to YouTube. I mean, there was so much screwing around and back then, and of course the quality was crap, but that's how it got started, right? I mean, like that, it's just crazy to see how far things have come. I mean, in a relatively short period of time, right? But it's, yeah, I mean, literally the one of the OGs, for sure. Mark's got a question there. I said, when do you start carb loading for something like a race? Do you measure it out, or you try eat as much as you can? Not that's a great question, and actually it depends on the type of event that I'm going to be doing. Like prime example, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a time trial race. Time trials are very short, right? It's literally a 10-mile time trial, so it's just a max effort 10-mile race. It'll be done and over in 25 minutes of actual race time. So it's just like a short burst. So I'm not going to be doing any crazy carb loading. I mean, the morning of the race, I'm going to have a good high carb breakfast. Um, during the when I actually do the race itself, I don't even drink because it's done in 25 minutes. But beforehand, I'll be drinking, like hydrating myself. And when I mix up my water bottles, I always put carbohydrate powder, electrolytes, and amino acids, and that's what I sip in my bottles when I'm on my bike. So if it's a longer event, like last week, I did a longer race. It was a road race, and that took about a little over 2 hours duration. It was a 70-kilometer road race. For that one, I made sure to did like the day before eating extra portions of carbs. Like just making sure that I'm well carved up. But I don't go to the extreme. It's not like the old bodybuilding days where you carb deplete and carb load and all that. I just make sure that I'm eating extra portions. So, for example, like instead of a cup of rice, I'm going to have a cup and a half. Like I'm just going to make sure that there's extra portions in there so that the day before I'm topped up. And then, of course, during the day of the race itself, I'm going to be eating carbohydrates primarily throughout the day. And then the big one is while you're on the bike, especially if it's a long duration. So it's something that's going to take multi hours. You want to be nourishing and bringing in carbohydrates while you're on the bike itself, because that's replenishing it as you're burning it. And that's the key to keeping your blood sugar stable and prevent bonking. Because if you try and do it without replenishing, you're burning massive amounts of calories, but you're not replenishing them. You're going to literally deplete your glycogen, deplete your blood sugar, and you're just going to bonk. Like it's just like a car running out of gas in that sense. Like it's just you feel good, and just boom, nothing. But if it's a short duration, you don't really need to do much in the way of carb loading or anything, because you'll have enough glycogen in your system to get through that. So how you go about loading or nourishing or fueling, however you want to word it, really depends on the intensity and the duration. Something that's going to be really long, like an Ironman or some sort of ultra endurance event, that's when you really want to make sure that you're carved up beforehand and you be eating and drinking and consuming a lot of nourishment throughout the entire event. And the key thing, especially for something that's multi hours, is you want to be eating before you're hungry and drinking before you're thirsty, staying ahead of that. Because if you wait until you're hungry before you start eating, it's too late. If you wait until you're thirsty before you start drinking, it's too late. You're already dehydrated, you're already depleted. So you got to be staying ahead of it. And I know some guys, they might even set timers so that they're, hey, every 20 minutes I'm going to consume something, drink or carbohydrate or whatever, or they'll have their own little strategies. For me, one that I like to do when I'm doing big, long, multi-hour bike rides is, as I mentioned, I put carbohydrate powder. For me, I use maltodextrin, maltodextrin, essential amino acids, and I do an electrolyte mix of sodium and potassium, and I have some magnesium as well. Mix that up in my bottle, so I'm constantly sipping that. So as I'm hydrating, I'm also consuming calories and carbohydrates to keep things topped up. And then I'll also have every hour probably have like a Cliff Bar or some sort of solid food nourishment to just give me some more energy there. And I find that works well for me to maintain my energy levels. So I'm usually shooting for about, for me, probably 75 grams of carbs per hour during a long multi-hour bike ride. Maybe a little more, but somewhere in that range. It's usually at least 75 grams of carbs per hour. I mean, some elite athletes, they'll even push that up to 100 grams or more per hour, depending on what they can tolerate. But that's generally what I do. Okay. And that works well. for me, I've kind of just experimented through trial and error, and I found what works well for me. But this is something that you can practice in training. Like, I would never recommend like the day of a race or something that's important to go out and try some brand new strategy, because it may work or it may backfire and leave you with like stomach upset and gut issues, or you know run into the trees because you got to do a number two in the middle of the race. And like if something like that happens, your race placings are out the window. Right? So you want to practice this in training so that you don't have any unexpected surprises during the race itself. But yeah, I mean, that's something. If you want to chat about it, like, feel free to message me. We could chat, discuss like what it is you're doing, what it is you're trying to, you know, fuel for, and we can kind of come up with some strategies for it. But those are just some general suggestions right there. What else we got? Robert was saying prices are high all over. I think that was related to the question we had about the cost of living in Canada. Yeah, I hear you there, and I think that's pretty much universal across the board. We have Tim joining in, saying happy 4th, Lee. Hope your macros are exploding like fireworks and your gains are more shredded than a Roman candle finale. May your pump today be as American as flexing in jorts. Flexing in jorts. I'm not sure what flexing in jorts is. Palette, you bring up. You can't stand. I palette you bring up. I can't stand fruit or vegetable. Had success without, but for someone trying to sample something, what are some first recommendations, vegetable wise? I need advice on. Okay, I can't stand fruits or vegetables. Interesting. Especially the fruit side. Like, I mean, I can understand the vegetable side. Like, a lot of people, I don't like vegetables, but the fruit, like, most people enjoy fruit, or at least some fruit. But if you're trying to accommodate the palate, it's literally just try and introduce small portions and see ways that you can kind of sneak in vegetables into what you're doing. Almost the same as you would try sneak vegetables into a kid's diet. Like, one way, smoothies. Like, you can blend up blender smoothies with fruits, whether it's frozen berries or banana or something like that. A lot of people enjoy those. You can even put spinach in smoothies. Obviously, start off very small and just add a little bit. But spinach is one of those things, like, if you put it in with a smoothie, I mean, it'll turn the smoothie green, but it doesn't really have much of a taste to it. Like, it's not a very strong taste or overpowering that would ruin it. So you can easily sneak spinach into things, and it won't ruin the meal, if you will. Another one that I like to do is when I'm having like eggs and omelets in the morning. Like, I'll mix up like a cup of liquid egg whites, 2 whole eggs, and I'll put some spinach, maybe some fat-free cheese, and make an omelet. And I find like that's a great way to get some veggies in with breakfast. And again, the spinach is very mild, so it's it you can taste it, but it doesn't overpower the omelet. I mean, you're still tasting the eggs and the cheese and whatever spices or hot sauce or whatever you put on it as well. So that's a little way that you can sneak in some veggies. But just try adding in small amounts, like meat and veggie stir fries, right? Like mushrooms and onions and peppers, and stir it up with some steak or chicken or whatever. Just do a stir fry. I mean, that's a great way to start sneaking in some extra veggies that way as well, right? But there's ways to do it without, just sitting down and trying to like chow down a head of lettuce or something like that, or plow into a lot of vegetables. Like, just little bits, gradually, like progressive overload your veggies, if you will, right? Small bits, and let it compound over time. And be open-minded to trying different recipes. Like, one thing that I'm grateful for, back, it was in 2014. I remember my wife and we decided to try a vegan diet. And this was right around the time when the Netflix was putting out a lot of these pro-vegan documentaries. Like, there was Forks Over Knives. There was a whole bunch of vegan documentaries coming out. Other ones, they're still coming out all the time, where people are saying, this is the superior diet. And we said, let's give it a try, right? And one thing that I am grateful for is we got trying a lot of different vegetable and plant-based recipes, and it made me appreciate just how good vegetables and plant-based foods can taste when you get creative and prepare them. I mean, we made some delicious meals that I was like, whoa, I mean, this is awesome, right? It's really tasty, really good stuff. But the long story short, when it all came out, and I mean, afterwards, I didn't stick with a vegan diet, but I appreciated vegetables much more after going through it. But it helped me to come to the realization that the benefits of a vegan or vegetarian diet is the abundance of vegetables, not necessarily the lack of meat or the lack of animal protein. Like, we want both. And the same applies with the benefits of a carnivore diet. Like, we got the two extremes now, right? You had the pro-vegan saying, hey, vegan is the best diet in the world. This is healthy. And then now you get the pro-carnivore saying, oh, no, this is the best diet in the world. I mean, it's polar opposites. How about we combine them, eat natural unprocessed meat and natural unprocessed veggies, and get the best of both worlds, right? Like, that's the best diet. And I think one of the reasons why those diets do work is because when you are eliminating food groups like that, you often eliminate the processed junk, because like ice cream isn't on a vegan diet and it isn't on a carnivore diet, right? Or pizza or whatever, like crap food, right? Is usually eliminated when you go to these extremes. But if you're eating natural unprocessed food, like, again, your fruits and veggies and natural unprocessed plant foods, and your lean proteins, natural unprocessed animal foods, you get the best of both worlds. So, I mean, that's basically how I eat now. And that's what we're going to be covering within the Lose Your Gut Challenge. But try and sneak them in small amounts, right? That's the key right there. That's what's going to really help. Sam is saying Cajun spices on chicken and a salad, my go-to meal. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one that I do. Like, this is a go-to meal for me, literally. And honestly, before I started this video chat today, it was a chicken salad. So it's literally, I get a large garden salad, put a chopped up chicken breast in with it, and I'll have a little bit of salad dressing, but then I'll put in a few heaping spoonfuls of fat-free Greek yogurt. And I like the fat-free Greek yogurt with the salad dressing because it gives me that nice creamy salad dressing taste and texture I like. But it's primarily protein. The Greek yogurt gives me that creamy texture, but it's fat-free, extra protein, and it gives me that nice texture to the salad, rather than drowning the salad in salad dressing, which is just sugar and fat. I have a little bit of salad dressing for the taste of it, but then primarily the Greek yogurt to give it that creamy texture. But yeah, that's a go-to. I mean, I have that literally every day. So that covers a good chunk of my veggie intake, and that's something I've literally come to crave and enjoy. I know the idea of craving salad and craving vegetables sounds bizarre to some people, but to me, I crave it. And if I go a day without my salad, like, I really miss it, right? Not just miss it from the taste and the eating satiation that it provides, but I miss it because it makes me feel good. I mean, it's good for the gut health, keeps me regular. Like, if I don't have it, I feel like I'm missing something. And very often, like, I'll even feel constipated and everything else if I'm not having those vegetables on a regular basis. So, you can literally change your palate and adapt and crave healthy food like vegetables, but you just got to start small. We got David joining in. Welcome. Glad to have you joining into the chat. Jorts are jean shorts. I never heard of that before, but I know exactly what I mean. When I was a kid, we always just call them cut off jeans, right? Like, when they're jeans, like, you rip the knees out of your jeans to the point where the jeans are no good anymore. You just cut them off, make a pair of shorts out of them. Nowadays, you already buy the freaking jeans with the knees wore out of them. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, when I was a kid, if you had holes in your pants, because you were hard up, right? Your pants are wearing out on you. Nowadays, you buy them that way, right? They're probably more expensive than the decent pants. But anyway, okay, I learned a new word today, folks. So the word of the day is jorts, jean shorts. I got David joining in. Welcome. Glad to have you joining here. Let's see what else we got. David saying, I currently eat a carnivore diet due to my Crohn's disease. Will I be able to succeed in the Lose Your Gut Challenge with this style of eating? You can certainly participate, and we can discuss that. I mean, that's a whole can of worms, right? Like there's, when you have medical issues like that, it's certainly something you have to consider. And I know people who have Crohn's personally, and they have to be very selective of what they eat. Certain foods they can tolerate, certain foods just go through them. And yeah, so you can certainly make improvements, but feel free to join into the challenge anyway. I mean, you're bound to pick up some strategies and tactics that will help. But obviously, anyone who has medical issues like that, you're going to have to modify it for your own situation. And that applies to any program or diet or whatever you do. Like if you have specific challenges, you're just not going to follow some cookie cutter, one size fits all program. You have to customize it to you and your specific situation. Tim saying, great advice with the advice, but I don't even need the fruit, so I'll try the vegetable ideas. I personally, when bulking, push up Frost bodybuilders, I'll mix something and shove it down. Gotcha. With the fruit, I know like some people say, well, you don't need fruit or whatever, but fruit, there's a time and a place for that. I mean, I don't eat a lot of fruit, but I'll probably have a couple pieces of fruit a day, like apples, bananas, oranges, melon, stuff like that. I mean, I enjoy it. That's kind of like they say, nature's candy, if you will. And in moderation like that, like small doses of fruit, especially if you're active, it can actually be very advantageous because the fructose in fruit, that helps to replenish liver glycogen. And so we have two basic stores of glycogen in our body. You got muscle glycogen and you got liver glycogen. Liver is kind of like the backup glycogen store. So like you use up your muscle glycogen, and then when your body needs more, it'll release glycogen from the liver. And this is why even if you're doing like a fasted workout, for example, like because I noticed some of my coaching students who are diabetics and they were wearing those continuous glucose monitors. They're like, I'm doing a fasted workout in the morning, but for some reason my blood sugar spikes and I didn't eat anything. How is that possible? That's because your liver is literally releasing the stored glycogen to be used as energy during that workout. So even though you didn't eat anything, that liver glycogen is providing basically energy to get you through those workouts. So having that as a backup reserve can actually be very advantageous. The problem when it comes to fructose is people who are sedentary and consuming high amounts of fructose because they're not depleting the liver glycogen and they're just constantly consuming it, especially if you're consuming like sugary sodas and high fructose corn syrup and processed food. You top up your liver glycogen and then you're still consuming all that fructose and crap, and your body has nowhere else to put it. So then it starts to develop fatty liver because when the liver glycogen is full, it starts to spill over and store it as excess body fat. And then that's where you get the fatty liver, the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is a very serious issue nowadays. But for people who are active, especially people who are doing high calorie burning activities like running and cycling and, ultra endurance events or anything like that, or even just high intensity weight training too, same principle there, and you're constantly depleting your glycogen stores, then you need to be replenishing them. So having moderate amounts of fructose is going to help top up that liver glycogen and be advantageous for keeping your energy levels stable. The problem again comes about when you have sedentary people who are slamming back, especially sugary sodas, which is like the biggest source of fructose for most people. Right? I haven't seen anybody get fat because they ate too much fruit, but I've seen a lot of people get fat because they ate too much processed stuff and sugary soda and things like that. I'm still waiting to see the person who became obese because I ate too many apples. Or it hasn't happened. Let's see. How you lower blood pressure. That's another can of worms too. There's a lot of things that can help with blood pressure, and there's a lot of things that can elevate blood pressure. And one that I want to address, sodium is the one that a lot of doctors put out as their go-to. Oh, just cut out your salt, right? Salt is not necessarily the bad guy. Where a lot of blood pressure issues arise is very often from an imbalance of sodium and potassium. Like sodium and potassium are the two main electrolytes, and they work like regulators for keeping the cells hydrated and regulating blood pressure. So if the sodium is too high in comparison to the potassium, right, that could be an issue. But if you can balance it out, and the thing is most people these days don't consume enough potassium. Potassium is mainly found in fruits and vegetables and those natural unprocessed foods. So if you're not consuming a lot of fruits and vegetables and natural unprocessed foods, you could be not getting enough potassium to help regulate it. So that's one that I would certainly look into, is increasing your potassium intake. But again, I'm going to cover my ass here. Before you go doing anything, if somebody has high blood pressure, talk to your doctor, figure out what your situation is and everything else. Like, get the clear before you go making any dietary changes. But very often, dietary and lifestyle changes can actually be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than the blood pressure medication. And I would recommend starting with that first. And I'm pretty sure most doctors would recommend that as well. Recommend with diet and lifestyle changes first before you just try and band-aid it with a pill. But there's a lot of things that we could do there. Like we can go down the rabbit hole with things that can cause blood pressure issues, like caffeine, nicotine, alcohol. Like there's a lot of things there that can have blood pressure issues. Stress, right? Like lack of sleep. Like there's a lot of things we can go down the rabbit hole with. I mean, way too much to cover now, but if you want, feel free to reach out to me and we can have a chat through Messenger or whatever, and just discuss you and your situation, see if we can come up with some strategies. Billy saying, keep up the great work, Bigley, the savage beast. Appreciate it, Billy. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate you staying late tonight. Yeah, it is getting late. Holy shit. I just noticed there now. We're actually well over the hour. I'm going to get ready and clue this up shortly, but you're welcome, Tim. Appreciate it there. Let's see what else we got. David saying, new salt tastes like salt, but it's 100% potassium. Can find it in most grocery stores near the spices. Yeah, there are different salts, like salt-free alternatives, and you can actually get potassium. One of the things that I mix up in my bottles, I mentioned earlier, is electrolytes, and I will literally put potassium in with my water bottles. So when I'm at the gym training or when I'm out on the bike, I will have potassium there to replenish what I'm losing through sweat. So I'll actually put a 50-50 ratio of sodium and potassium in the bottles. And I buy it in bulk off Amazon. Like, you can literally buy bags. I don't have it here with me, but it's out in the kitchen. But like big bags of potassium powder, right? And it's you can mix that in with just use like a little tiny measuring, like a quarter teaspoon measuring spoon or whatever to measure it out. But that's what I'll literally use when I'm mixing up my my bottles and stuff. So I'll buy the potassium in bulk. Now, you can get potassium tablets or potassium capsules as well, but it's much better bang for your buck to buy it in bulk, just the powder. And you can also get the salt, or the no salt, if you will. Right? I've used that as well, which is basically potassium. So that's a great way to bump up the potassium intake. But that's a good one. Thanks for sharing that, David. Much appreciated. All right. Billy saying, frozen blueberries are a delicious treat at night to keep sweet cravings down. Yeah, I tell you one thing that I like to do. Frozen berries, like blueberries, is one of them, but you can also get like frozen blackberries or raspberries or whatever. But mix them in with fat-free Greek yogurt. I find it tastes like a dessert, and I really enjoy that. Right, so I mean, that's a nice treat that you could have to get those antioxidants from the berries, and also getting a shot of protein there from the Greek yogurt, and it tastes like a dessert. So it's a healthy way to keep those cravings in check and keep the nutrients up as well. But yeah, thanks for sharing. All right, and good stuff. And Billy was saying, I put a spoonful of PB Fit in with mine. Yeah, awesome, cool. Another one there, light salt from Morton is excellent. I've never tried that one myself, but I'll probably look into it. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue it up. But again, thanks so much again for tuning in. Thanks for your questions and participation, because again, without you, there wouldn't be much of a Q&A, right? This is a two-way conversation. So I need you to be sharing your Q&A in order for me to be sharing your questions in order for me to be able to answer them. So hopefully you got some value from our conversation here today. And again, just a heads up that tomorrow morning, we're going to be kicking off the Lose Your Gut Challenge over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. If you would like to join us, it's free. It's a free 5-day virtual coaching program where we're going to be going in depth into the fundamentals of optimizing fat loss nutrition so that you can lose your gut, keep it off, and enjoy the process. So if you'd like to join us, all you have to do is head on over to leehayward.com, my website, and there's a post right at the top of the page there where you can register for the Lose Your Gut Challenge. And I have the direct link to it down in the description below this video. So if you're watching on YouTube, just pop open the description. If you're watching on Facebook, you can pop open the description there as well. There's a link where you can sign up and register for the free 5-day Lose Your Gut Challenge Summer Shred. So again, we're kicking it off tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be following along with your progress and be featuring you as a future Lose Your Gut Challenge success story. All right, guys, have yourself a great one. Enjoy the 4th of July for my American friends, and I will talk to you. I'll be talking to you tomorrow if you join up with the Lose Your Gut Challenge, but if not, I'll be talking to you next Friday, same time, same place. Take care. Over and out.